Hi, it's Lizzie and Becca, and we've got a very exciting bonus episode today.
Yep, so in support of Farm Safety Week, we're at Guy Machinery, and in conjunction with Can-Am, we're going to be showing you everything there is to know about ATV safety on farm.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Richard Gregg. I'm the District Commercial Manager for BRP, and I look after all the dealers in the north of England and Scotland. And we're here today at Guy Machinery in Gisborne to talk about some ATV safety material. And we're here today with Becca and Lizzie from Boots and Heels. And we're going to go through some stuff and hopefully come up with some challenges later.
So we are standing in front of the utility vehicle, which is specifically for farms, is that right?
It's more ideally set up for farming, yes. So as you can tell, this one's got set up with racks, front and rear, and it is something that, generally speaking, a farmer would use on the to get around the place, rather than some of the other stuff here, which is more recreational focused.
Yeah. And so we've talked a bit before we started filming about how, well, quad bikes can literally be a lifeline for some farmers, and there are some places, particularly I guess in kind of hill farms as well, where if you didn't have a quad like this, you quite literally couldn't get around and do your job.
100%. The thing with the quad bike is it makes a lot of the jobs on the farm a lot easier. So clearly, if you talk to, say, for example, a shepherd, he'd say the most valuable tool he has is the dog. Probably the next most valuable thing that he has at his disposal is a quad bike, because he can get around the place, the dog can jump up on the back, he can carry supplies out, and it just means that he can get around the place, if used correctly, safer and quicker.
And obviously we're here today talking about Farm Safety Week as well, which is massively important in agriculture and something that I guess on farm, you know, at home we're always trying to get better, but, you know, we're not good enough yet. And quad bikes are a dangerous piece of equipment.
A dangerous piece of equipment, yes, but only if used incorrectly. If you follow the safety guidelines and some of the training that is available, which I guess we'll talk about a little bit later on, they're no more dangerous than anything else. But absolutely, these come with a host of devices on them which make the job just that little bit safer, but it's more about using it correctly, knowing what to look for, and then you are really best placed yourself to make them as safe as possible.
Yeah. I think that's really important because, I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start, never mind get on one, and well, we'll be doing that a bit later, but I think, you know, from other places we've visited, you do think of a sheepdog, for instance, as really, really valuable. But I've never thought of kind of needing maybe a piece of equipment where you can put a sheep in the back, for instance. I've never processed that. So yeah, I can see how this might really be a valuable piece of kit.
And definitely when you have all the other attachments as well, which I guess we might see a bit later as well, it's not just literally this machine as we see it. I mean, what else can you put on the back, basically?
I mean, these things really are almost a derivative of another piece of equipment. You know, the tractor. The tractor is the engine, and it's all about the other stuff that you bolt to it. And you're absolutely right. These things come with a host of different attachments to make the job easier. So, you know, the obvious one is trailers. You know, you have a sheep trailer on the back to put the ewes and the lambs in. At certain times of the year, then you could have just a regular trailer to take supplies around. You could have mowers, weed control devices, boxes to go on the front and the back. There are even attachments now that can go out the front, so things like scraping systems if you're on the dairy job. So it really is a truly versatile piece of equipment to have around the farm.
God, there's so much, isn't there, that you could like really
It is a mini tractor.
Yeah,
it is.
Think of a task. There's probably a piece of equipment that's been designed for these things to make your job that little bit easier.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all for that.
So if we go down here, these ones obviously look quite a bit different. What is the difference? Okay,
so really what you're looking at here is a cross-section of what is available in terms of ATV. So this one, as we've said, this one is your out-and-out sort of farm-focused vehicle, utility machine, mid-size power and engine and ATV. Then you go completely to the other extreme. This one is an out-and-out recreational focused machine, purely and simply to have fun on. So because of that, it's even more important to be aware of all the safety aspects of using an ATV, because you're going to be going fast, you're going to be hanging it out, you're going to be having fun. And then immediately behind you there is something that's kind of a bit of a half and half, something in between. This is based on an agricultural style utility chassis. One of the key activities with ATVs is things like trail riding, going off camping for the weekend, loading all your gear up on, and just having some fun. So you need carrying capacity, you need something large and going to be comfortable, but you also want plenty of power. So this is a 1000cc recreational machine. Probably not something that you're going to see on many, many farms, but hey, who knows? There are guidelines for ATV usage. There used to be laws governing ATV usage, but no longer. So now it's purely down to the recommendation of the manufacturers. So pretty much I think it's for everything above a 250 size machine, 250cc machine, you need to be 16 and above. In terms of a license, again, there's no specific license requirement, believe it or not, especially when you're using it on an off-road environment. But we do advocate that everyone takes some form of safety training to be able to operate one of these things. Possibly because it's got 4 wheels, possibly because you sit on it and grab a set of handlebars.
Yeah.
Most people believe that they know how to ride one. The reality is, sadly, that many things can go wrong if they're not used correctly. Now, if they're used correctly, they're fine. But we advocate taking a safety training course that teaches people literally what can go wrong and what you need to do to be able to put it right so that you can use one of these things and it become a really good additional tool to have around the farm.
And that could be life-saving. You know, that time
Absolutely.
you take to do that course could be the difference between being here and not.
Yeah, it's an investment in your safety and people around you.
And that's more important than anything.
Exactly, and I think farmers are definitely guilty, as in lots of jobs, but farmers, the time, you don't really have the free time. So it really is almost, you would feel like a sacrifice to go on one of these courses because you think, what jobs am I missing out on doing at home to go on a course or do the online or whatever sort of training it is? You worry about what jobs you're missing, but I guess our message from doing something like this is it's 100% worth it. And we are guilty of cutting corners, but we're in too dangerous an industry to cut those corners.
I absolutely could not agree with you more. It is an investment in your time, and as far as I'm concerned, it's effectively about 6 hours out of your life once to give you those basic level of skills to make sure that you've got the competency and you're aware of all the safety aspects. But, what price can you put on anybody's life or safety?
Exactly.
You can't. Do you know the reality is that even if you've been riding quad bikes, as many farmers have for 20, 25, 30 years even now, I challenge anyone to go on one of these courses and not pick up 2, maybe 3 things that they didn't know before.
Yeah.
Guarantee it.
And where could people, do you just Google it and find a course near you, or do you have some kind of recommended ones, or how do you find one?
Yeah, so ourselves, along with several other member manufacturers, are all partners in an organisation called EASI, which is the European ATV Safety Institute. And ourselves, with these other partners, when you buy one of our ATVs or SSV buggy vehicles, you get access to a subsidised training course. Now, these safety training courses take place regionally. They have a network of instructors up and down the country that people can book onto at their earliest convenience. They take along their own ATV that they've maybe just bought, or if they can't maybe transport one can be made available. And that's where they would get these safety training courses that take you through the aspect of front to back, full 360-degree approach. They start off from the perspective of maybe you don't hardly know anything about it, and at the end of the day, you will be given a basic level of competency.
I think that subsidisation thing is actually really important as well, because farmers will say, well, I've just spent all this money on a quad bike, I do need it for the farm, but I can't afford that extra bit of training. And cost is a massive barrier to, I would say, a lot of health and safety on farms. How much is a new PTO shaft or whatever? People very much say, we can't quite afford that, and they'll cut that safety corner. But actually, to say it's subsidised is fantastic and means, there's even more reason to be doing the training. Absolutely.
And another aspect is that is, I suppose, mostly aimed at owner-operators. But there's another aspect, actually, for a lot of farms, because a lot of farms will be employing people to go about their tasks, and part of that task will necessitate riding an ATV. As they need to provide, every employer has a duty of care to provide training and PPE to an employee if they're doing that for their job. It might be that they can actually save themselves some money, because it could be that the training they've got access to here might fulfill some or possibly all of that duty of care. One thing that's probably worth pointing out is that every single Can-Am has a warning label on, and that's not just Can-Ams. In fact, most manufacturers do put these warning labels on. But every single one will have warning labels on, usually on the panel here or just in front of your knee, which will give you some important safety information. And that safety information being carrying capacities, the amount of passengers that you're allowed to take, and what the tyre pressure should be in the machine. And this is really, really important because tyre pressures make up something like about 50% of your suspension. So if you overinflate them or have them underinflating, you are potentially leaving yourself wide open to a serious lack of control. Every ATV has a warning label on it determining the age of the usage of the machine. And I think I'm right in saying that every machine above 250cc, everyone should be 16 or over. There are different age restrictions depending on the size of the engine for kid squads, but essentially an adult machine is determined something of 250cc and upwards, you need to be 16. And it's important to remember that unless designed otherwise, every ATV is a single operator machine.